Welcome to From Head to Heart and Home. Carla and I are so excited that you're here to listen in on our conversation today. This is a channel created by women for women, empowering you to create the change in your life. With your host, Carla Center, subconscious healer and relationship coach, and myself, Shanda Ceretti, certified transformational coach. So, Carla and I have something excited for you, as we do each and every week. Let me be honest, right? So today we are talking about beauty in the unexpected, how beauty isn't just where we expect to find it or where we know we can find it, right? It also can emerge from the most unexpected areas and situations and experiences. So, we're going to go ahead and dive into this beautiful topic today. And I am going to allow Carla to set the stage and just take off running with it.
Okay, let me just start running with it. Um, the thing is that if everything is just what we expect it, there is just this, it becomes very like this.
Hmm.
There's not the excitement, there's not the new, which means to get the highs, we get to have the lows. And sometimes those lows, we're like, how am I going to get through this and what can come from this? And then
Hmm.
find the beauty on the other side. You're like, I had no idea this was waiting for me. All I saw was this pain,
Yeah.
right? And that can be anything. It can be a failure, it can be a loss, it could just be, I mean, sometimes we have like a horrible day and then the next day everything comes together and we're like, oh, that's what it was because I'd planned something else.
Yeah.
And one of mine is I think I've told you guys multiple times. My fiance and I, we have known each other for many, many years, and we've come together to know each other 3 times. As kids, acquaintances, like we weren't really friends. We didn't really hang out with the same people. In fact, we didn't talk from elementary school until he reached out to me like 13 years ago. And then we were friends, and then we were a break. And then I reached out to him because there were some things going on and I wanted to be the friend he was to me. And I have the most beautiful relationship. And I can tell you guys, I was terrified to reach out to him because I was going through some of my own stuff. And it just wasn't a time I thought, "Ooh, I don't really want to bring somebody else into my life right now. I'm just not really in my favorite spot." And
Hmm.
magic. It was
Hmm.
beautiful. And it came from us really going through, we've both been through a lot, loss, like death and stuff, and we couldn't have become the people we are to have the relationship we have had we not gone through those things.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so for me, that's one of my things where I'm like, trust me, like I I- when I found out I was pregnant my senior year in high school, I thought my life was over and I had to settle for whatever crumbs were thrown to me. And I have the most beautiful family and the most beautiful relationship right now because of the things I've been through.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, our experiences, it's easy to get caught up in the fact that our experiences kind of like can take away from our life or, slap us with these labels. But really, our experiences create our character, right? And I love that you shared something so personal. And it's like what I got out of your message was that when we are able to find the beauty in the hard times, in the challenging times, it's like the sign from the universe. I'm going to use that term, that we've received whatever lesson we were supposed to receive through that challenge, right? So if you find yourself on the other side of something that was really challenging or hard, whether it was grief or loss or shame or pain, whatever it was, you find the beauty. It's like, wow, you received the message, you received the learning and the lesson, which I think is so beautiful, right? And I mean, even just for me recently, something very unexpected took place, and I had these expectations because I was trying to create something, and it took a shift, right? And it took the most beautiful shift that I couldn't have even anticipated where this was going to go, like how this was going to unfold for me. And the healing that I received, and the abundance that I received, and the generosity and the kindness, like all these beautiful things that I was like, wow, like the gratitude that landed in my lap for my life in that moment, for the people in my life, everybody and everything was so profound. And I was just like, I was kind of taken over by this sense of there is beauty in everything. It's, are we ready and willing to receive the beauty, or are we still stuck in the unpleasant emotion that we aren't ready or willing to process? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And when we have those emotions, sometimes we're like stuck in it that we can't see that beauty in front of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even the beauty sometimes brings up some emotions for us, and then we get to choose to either allow those emotions to color this new, like, wonderful, exciting thing, or be like, okay, for some reason this brings it up. I get to look at this so I can process through it so I can really enjoy this beauty and this amazing thing that is going on in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, everything is a reflection, right? So if we can hold the belief that literally everything around us we are creating so that we can become our highest version. So even if we're like, I didn't create that, I have no idea why this is showing up. Even if we have those thoughts and feelings, and especially when we do, those are the opportunities for us to be like, hang on a second, let me actually look in this mirror. What am I seeing? What can I learn about me that wants to be healed, that wants to be processed? Because it's coming up to the surface. It's showing you so like vividly and so in your face, right? So I'm talking about like when people rub you the wrong way, or conflicts that you might have at work or with a family member or spouse even, or maybe you're having difficult times with your children, or whatever it is for you. Those are all opportunities to stop and be like, hang on a second, how am I creating this? And what wants to be learned? What is it that I need to learn to process and move beyond to the other side, where I can experience the gift of the beauty and the gratitude, right? Because I mean, like, I'm telling you guys, you might be like, yeah, yeah, sure. That's not true for everything and everyone. No, that gift, that beauty is on the other side of everything, every challenge, every obstacle. That is why there's those patterns, because until we heal those patterns and learn those lessons, the universe is like, hey, listen, you need to learn this thing. You need to learn this thing. You need to grow through this
Right.
thing. So it'll just keep representing that opportunity to you. And for some people, the hard truth is that it might take lifetimes to learn that lesson, right? For some people, you will not learn it in your lifetime, and you will in another lifetime, whenever that happens, which is wild.
Right. And when you realize that, hey, if I'm not willing to learn this and process it, this can come back in my next lifetime. You're like, ooh, maybe I should really look at stuff. And it can be stuff that you're like not expected. Like, I'm about to get married. I got really emotional about my dad not being there. And is
Hmm.
it really just about his presence? It was not just about his presence. It's that I wanted his approval finally. Like,
Hmm.
I thought that being married was we had my shit together.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And so to still get his approval. And so we have those things and we think that it's just the obvious thing, and it's not
Right.
necessarily. You really have to look in the mirror. What is it that I'm missing about me that I need to heal, that I need to let go of? And
Right.
mine was approval from my parent, and I'm 51 years old, and he was proud of me. I asked him, he told me he was. He just was not a man that was very verbal about it. So, but in my subconscious mind, there was this belief that I had to be a certain way to be enough,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so we get stuck in those things, and that's when we hit those lulls, and then we're like coming back up. We sometimes allow our emotions to keep us in that one spot and not cresting to the beauty that's in that hidden space just around the corner.
Yeah, I think I would even go as far as to say most times, if not all of the time, we get stuck there, which is why we haven't learned those gifts yet, right? We haven't opened those gifts. And it's like I'm always in the belief, and I live my life this way too, and you and I have talked about this many times as well. So like for example, thank you for sharing, again, such personal information. So when those things arise in us, like, I'm seeking the approval of my dad, right? It's like we then get to very, I'm going to say quickly or easily turn that question around and ask ourselves, where do we not approve of ourselves, right? Because whenever we feel like we're lacking something, it's our opportunity to create it for ourselves. So I think, again, it's the universe being able to mirror those things back to us in where we're able to grow, right? And where the opportunity lies. And because it all comes down to us. It all comes down to you. It's a singular thing. You create your experiences. You are in full control. And so when we learn, hey, I can actually give myself the things that I need and the things that I want, and even the things I didn't get. I have full control to create that here and now for myself without needing anything or any other person to facilitate that for me. Right. So it's like full power, full responsibility, full creation, full ownership. And that is like, that was a huge aha for me when I realized that, like, along with a few other things, right? Like it was a hard realization to come to, because then it's like, oh crap, hang on a second. If I'm the creator of my life and my experiences, it means that I'm always the creator. There's not sometimes I'm the creator and sometimes I'm the victim. No, no. You have to let go of that victim mentality and story and take that ownership back and realize I've even created the things that I didn't enjoy and didn't want. Why did I create those things? Right. And how can I correct or heal that so it doesn't keep getting recreated in the future?
Right, because if you keep taking the same steps over and over again, that's why we always talk about awareness and noticing your patterns, because over and over again the same things will happen to you. First off, your perception is not going to change.
Hmm.
We are 100% in control of our perception, which is a hard thing to
Yeah.
admit to, and to be like, okay, um, to even think about the fact that if you walk on eggshells with somebody because you don't want to deal with how they're acting, you are manipulating the situation
Right.
and allowing it, and to take full responsibility for your part in the whole thing is big. And that's part of what keeps you in the spaces we are, is that we continue to allow and avoid things where when we make the choice to do something different, we get to see what's past this. What's
Hmm.
past this? It's not more pain and sorrow and all the different things that we're trying to avoid. It's so much more.
Yeah. And, I think what's fascinating is when we can really truly grasp that it's our thoughts that are creating our life. It's our thoughts. It's that
Yep.
chatter that doesn't stop. Like, does not stop talking. It's not usually very positive, right? For some people, it's really not positive. Some people might have a more healthier mindset, so there's a little bit better balance there. But um, I did a lot of soul searching and healing of my own over the weekend, and um, some reading and some self exploration and all that kind of thing. And I learned or was reminded that when we have a negative thought pop up, you can like equalize that negative thought. We don't want to let them just keep rolling and rolling and rolling, because what happens is, think of a snowball going down a hill. Okay. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger until eventually one day it's going to get our attention because it's going to roll us over. You know what I mean? So the way to like equalize your negative thoughts, so that would be like your first step, would be equalizing them so that you're not perpetually falling into that negative mindset. So let's just say the thought, I'm stupid, pops up into your head and you catch it. you immediately follow it up with the opposite, right? Like with a positive, empowering statement. So, um, I'm really smart, whatever it is, right? Like flip it and it will neutralize that negative thought, right? Because our thoughts are what are creating our lives. We have these thoughts from the past that we keep like bringing it into the future until we heal, right? And so, um, I think one of the most fascinating things too that I heard, and this was quite a while ago when I heard this, and I was like, "Ooh, I like it." So I want to share it. And it's around that Earth. The reason why we're here on planet Earth is this is the planet for learning. I've heard it referred to as like the life school, right? So we came down to Earth to learn, and
Mhm.
it's like a stop on the way to something greater, but we're here in a classroom. And I just really learned recently, and I was like, oh man, I just got fully emotional. And I shared it with Carla just this morning when I read something from a book I'm reading on the Ho'onopono practice. And it was around how our family is our biggest classroom. Like it's our number one class that we will learn and take in while we're here in earth school, in life school. And so I know for me personally, I've had many challenges within my family system, both immediate family and distant family. And asking like what lessons are there for me to learn, what is this person bringing to me as a gift, right? When we can look at it through the lens of compassion and love and opportunity, it changes everything, like full stop, right? And we know, if you guys have been following along long enough, you know now that when we can change our mindset and our thoughts, the external changes along with it, right?
Right. Beautiful. And it's to like Shahanda just said, it's a gift. And to see it as a gift is also a mindset shift.
Yes.
Like it can be a hard one because we get into this, somebody's got to be a victim and somebody has to be a villain. And
Mm,
so as long as we keep in that mindset, it's hard to see something as a gift for sure. So
yeah.
as you shift all of those and see, okay, they're trying to teach me a lesson, and
Mm,
other people are a reflection of myself.
mm,
And so to go like, okay, what lesson am I supposed to learn here? And if they're doing something and it really just irritates you, where do I do that in my life, or where have I allowed it?
yeah.
It could be either or. So you ask yourself questions and you really take a look at your behavior, and their behavior is only to find things out about yourself and learn lessons. It's
Yeah.
not to be like, "Ew, look at them." And, you could write out like all the horrible things, or, us ladies like to get together and start like talking about people. And you're like, if you really thought about it, first off, you would never want somebody to be talking about you like that. So probably shouldn't be talking about others like that. But really take a look at like, what is this saying to me about myself?
Mhm.
And where have I been stuck so this continues to go on in my life?
Mm. Yeah, I love the mirror question, right? Like how is this a mirror for my life, for my internal, right? As within, so without, as above, so below, right? So there's always this mirror of like back and forth. And knowing that, okay, so if depending on where you're at in your healing and what you believe in, if you have the belief that we chose to be here, our soul chose to be here at this specific time with this specific family, with the specific people that we will encounter in our lives, then it's like, wow, I chose this. I chose all of the challenges that are coming. I chose it, right? And sometimes that's difficult because, again, like Carla was saying, we want to slip into the victim mentality because it seems easier. it seems like it's easier to do that than to take that ownership and be like, hey, listen, I want to take the reins and decide and choose where I go. But if we keep continuously choosing love over fear, over judgment, over scarcity, over criticism, over whatever. If we keep coming back to love, I promise you, eventually you will start to shift your life. So, again, a simple way to do that is when it's like I've heard it be that when women start like chattering to each other about negative things, I've heard it referred to as like clucking chickens or something like that, or the
Mhm.
hens clucking.
Yeah,
It's something along that line. And I
yeah.
don't want to put labels and that sort of thing, but let's refrain from doing that. And when you catch yourself judging someone, judging yourself, being negative in any way, follow that up with something positive. Follow that up with love and compassion. I'm telling you, it will shift everything. If you stick to this and you're intentional about this and you become more and more aware of the thoughts and the judgments and the criticism that are running through your head for yourself and for others, because so within, so without, we do it to ourselves, we do it to others, right? So always being lovingly curious. Interesting that this is showing up. And then just offer love, offer compassion, right? And if all of this sounds too complicated, I would like to share that the easiest way to step into a higher vibration is through gratitude. Whatever way works for you, whether you want to do a gratitude journal every morning, which I did for like over a year consistently, I filled notebooks and notebooks. I wrote down 10 things every single morning before I started my day. And it changed so much. Like my business literally quadrupled for like the first 3 years. Do you know what I mean? So there is definitely proof and payoff to doing these things. You will raise your vibration and you will attract more of what you want into your life.
Beautiful, beautiful. And the thing about raising your vibration and having the gratitude is that it gets you out of those thought patterns, right? That's why Shanda did it every morning in a journal, because that's how you start your day.
Mm,
And just around the corner, in the same life she had before she started doing it, was quadrupling her business. And it's because we take back our power. As long as we're in the victim mode, as long as we're in that there's a villain, as long as we're in this is just what the cards that life dealt me,
mm,
we've given away our power and think things and have the mindset that things are just happening to us. And
mm,
it's hard to be grateful when you think things are happening to you, because when you get something good, then you're like, okay, it's fleeting, the
mm.
other stuff's coming. Or you think every time something that you don't want to happen happens, I must have done something to deserve this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And another thing too that I think is important to share, which we've had full episodes on this, is understanding that life is 50-50. Life is a balance. Life is a dance. So Carla and I are not saying that once you do this work, you're never going to experience things that you don't want to experience, because that's just not life. That is not what we're here to do. We're here to learn and grow. So there's a 50-50 balance. So there still will be the ebb and flow, right? I had a client just say to me just a couple of days ago that, things, they have a specific job where they work, a role in where they work. And they were building their team, and they finally felt like they had a really secure team and things were going really well and meshing really well together. And then all of a sudden, one by one by one, these things kept happening, or people would leave, or there was these things. And so we got to reiterate, like, hey, nothing is forever. How can we embrace the flow? What could I do to recreate another powerful team? How can I add value? What lesson can I learn? What's the takeaway here? Right? So, how can I be proactive as opposed to feeling like, whoa, this is happening to me? Like you were saying, Carla, oh, this is happening to me. It's like, no, no. Okay. If it's happening to me, I want to then lean in and start engaging to change that. Right. So again, that ebb and flow, that back and forth. Like I always refer back to Mother Nature. Nothing is constant. Everything is changing. And that's a good thing. Like Carla was saying, that flat line at the very beginning. If our life was like this, that would be boring and we would all be absolutely miserable. Believe it or not, we would not be happy. If we were happy all the time, we would not be happy.
No,
Isn't that
right?
funny?
Because you don't appreciate things.
Exactly.
And because it's just there. And sometimes those low moments, if you like really look at it and you learn that lesson, it brings you so much more joy than you would have had before that happened. Do we want to go and like say, "Oh, I'm so glad this horrible thing happens to me"? Sometimes no, but
Mm,
sometimes you're like, you know, uh, like I I am not saying that somebody should be abused.
no.
But I had childhood abuse, and let me tell you, the empathy I have for other people because of the things that happened to me are astronomically more than I would have had I not gone through what I went through.
Yeah.
Do I wish that on anybody else? Heck no.
Right.
But how I'm able to connect with people is so much deeper. And my clients, I can I can connect with them at a level that there is no way I could have connected with them at had I not gone through what I went through on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And and so that's why I bring up my stuff is not to like have anybody else like wish it upon them or have them feel bad for me, but to say, things do happen to us. And if we can find the beauty on the other side, like seriously, I love what I do. I love connecting with you guys. I love making an impact on your lives, but I couldn't be where I'm at had I not lived the life I've lived.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's so true. It's like when you were talking, I wrote down connection equals hardships or vice versa. It's the it's our challenges that enable us to connect deeper with people. It's their gifts. That's the beauty in the unexpected right there. It's like, wow, all of my challenges were gifts for me to be able to connect with people, to have more empathy and more compassion and more love, right? So that you like bubble over. And that's why Carla and I are here because we want to support other people who have been through something similar, or even if it's not, right? We want to support people through their challenges and their hardships because we've been there, because we've lived it, because we know it, right? And the reason why, like I was saying earlier, around if we were happy all the time, we wouldn't actually be happy, is because our our purpose here is to evolve, is to keep learning. That's why when things get stagnant, right? And we're not learning and we're not growing, we get bored. We feel unfulfilled because we're not learning. And the only way to learn, like it or lump it, is through those hardships. It's finding the beauty in the unexpected. That is the very purpose of being here. So it's like, how can I embrace these things more? How can I, even if I feel a little bit nervous about it, how can I open myself up to experiencing more, right? Inviting and encouraging challenges so that you can grow, so that you can get through them, get on the other side of them. I don't want to keep recreating this thing over. This is awful, right? I want to get on the other side of that and then welcome the next one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And as you continuously just grow and you you've empowered yourself to just be like, okay, what are the next things coming up? I'm going to step forward, and if fear comes up, I'm going to say, nope, you know what? I got this because
Hmm.
there's something beautiful on the other side of it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
And
don't.
yeah, sorry to cut you off there. What I was going to say was that hold the belief, truly hold the belief, even if it feels risky or scary, hold the belief that on the other side of every challenge is that gift, is that beauty. And if you can hold that belief, then you'll get through anything, right? You will get through anything. Yeah.
That's beautiful, and it, it
Oh.
it just keeps you from getting stuck.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we talk about all the time is being stuck, and Shanda said it so beautifully. And many times, what I see many clients do is they're like, look at all the time I wasted because they were stuck in this spot.
Mm.
And to look at instead to be like, okay, what did I learn from that? I can't put a number on how long it's going to take me to learn and grow through these challenging points. I get to have love and compassion for myself and be so grateful for where I am because I went through it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it reminds me of, we often want to bulldoze over the uncomfortable emotions like failure, for example. We want to bulldoze over that. We want to just plow through it and forget about it. But what we forget, what we miss out on is the gift of the lesson. And so if we're not going to pick that up and take that with us, it's going to be buried back there. And guess what? You didn't learn the lesson. You didn't pick up the lesson. It was right there. You're going to have to learn it again. You're going to keep recreating again and over and over. So again, failure can be beautiful if you're willing to walk through it to the other side. The beauty in the unexpected, the beauty in failure, the beauty in shame, the beauty in pain. It's there, it's available to you, but you got to be willing to walk through it and then pick it up on the way by, right?
Right.
Pick up the lesson. Don't bulldoze anymore. What I like to do, if you guys have a business or even just in any sort of event that happens in your life, if you take a little audit by asking yourself 3 questions: what worked well, what didn't work so well, and what can you do differently next time? That is how you learn the lessons along the way. 3 simple questions. And do not underestimate the power of asking and answering those questions truthfully and authentically. It's very powerful.
Beautiful. I love that. And remember that failure is about learning a lesson, not about
Mhm.
being unworthy.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what we tend to reflect as unworthy. But like Shanda was just saying, these are lessons.
Hmm.
And if we pick them up, we don't end up. If you ask the questions Shanda just gave you, you're not going to end up the same lesson over and over and over again, which makes you more and more frustrated because then you believe that there's something wrong with you because you can't get past this.
Yeah.
When there's
Yeah.
just a lesson there that you haven't yet learned. And when you ask those questions, it helps you to figure out what is that lesson.
Yeah. So it's like, distilling everything that we've talked about today down into one question. How is this event adding value to my life, whether I'm willing to see it or not? Right? How is this adding value? Just ask yourself that simple question. And just being open to receiving the answer and just being curious enough to ask the question will shift things on its own, right? It opens you up to a whole nother level of awareness, right?
I
Yeah,
love that.
beautiful. Well, I'm curious to know, do you have anything else that you would like to add to this conversation or gift to our listeners today?
No, I think that was a beautiful thing to share and to end with.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So, on that note, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into our channel. Carla and I are always so thankful and so thrilled to have you listen in, especially when they are as impactful as they always are. But we hope to have you come back and join us next week. We hope that you enjoyed this conversation. If you did, feel free to share it. Feel free to subscribe by clicking the button below. And we hope to have you join us again next week for another connected conversation. All right, everybody. Goodbye.